plug-and-play solutions for your motorcycle. Mirrored infotainment systems. This video focuses on screen mirroring for motorcycle navigation and more. We'll start with how we got here, why mirrored infotainment systems are likely here to stay, and then I'll walk you through the Carpuride screen I installed on my Yamaha T7 and another option in the One Car Stereo L200. The visual user experience when riding a motorcycle has evolved in the last few decades to have two main areas of interest. There's the primary screen, a dashboard with critical gauges such as the speedometer, tach, and engine warning lights, and a secondary screen for infotainment featuring a media player and navigation map. Up until a few years ago, we relied on standalone navigation units from Garmin and TomTom that fulfilled the role of the secondary screen. Some of them even let you play audio files stored on an SD card. Later on, smartphones assumed the infotainment role with far superior display quality, computing power, internet connectivity, and a huge open marketplace of numerous applications. However, smartphones were less than ideal for riders as they're not very rugged. I've destroyed a couple of iPhones from the vibrations. Most phones' displays are also too small. This led some riders to seek out better alternatives, one of which was to use a larger, rugged phablet, a tablet with an 8 to 10 inch screen functioning essentially like a huge smartphone. The Samsung ActiveTab S3 is one such example, as is the Carpyright Pad, which is specifically designed for motorcycle usage, including a mount. These are good solutions, but they are not perfect. The units are expensive because they have fast processors, lots of memory, and plenty of storage to smoothly compute, process data, and display graphics at high resolution. There are two other major problems: identity and state. With smartphones and tablets, you must log in with your credentials to establish your identity with the App Store and then various apps. If your smart device gets lost or stolen, your sensitive personal information could be exposed. Not good. The state issue means you need to install a selection of apps on the infotainment unit and therefore maintain another operating system. You're effectively building an infotainment unit with a unique user experience that can come with a steep learning curve and cost even more because you have to pay twice for the apps like an Apple user using an Android-based unit. If an app requires internet connectivity, you'll also need a separate data plan and a SIM card, which all adds to the initial costs and recurring costs. Enter remote mirroring. This solution has been widely adopted in cars. Some auto infotainment systems support remote connection from a smartphone using Android Auto or Apple CarPlay. The smartphone mirrors its apps onto the car's built-in infotainment display. The driver then gets to use apps residing on the smartphone, but keep in mind this only works with apps that support remote mirroring. The user experience is similar to that of the smartphone. For example, Apple users get the familiar iOS look and feel, and you won't have to reinstall the apps on the car system. Thus, the identity and state problems are solved. A few rugged aftermarket motorcycle head units have become available with remote mirroring, selling for around $100 to $300. They are significantly cheaper than top-end smartphones and phablets while offering great value for the price and a pragmatic and secure alternative. Some of the cost savings come from lower specs compared to regular smartphones and a smaller battery, since constant charging is assumed, and simpler and slower processor, less memory and storage capacity, and no expensive and complex camera optics. You can connect wirelessly to the head unit and navigate using your app of choice, such as Google Maps or Waze, or play your favorite music on Spotify. The phone remains safe and secure in your jacket or pants, isn't exposed to the weather or handlebar vibrations, and can't fall off the mount. The head unit features a touch screen and has a Bluetooth connection to the helmet. Most of the computing, other than the display and audio output, is done on the more powerful smartphone, including internet connectivity, which uses the phone's existing connection options. So let's head to the garage where I'll tell you about the Carpyright W702 display I just mounted on my Yamaha T7, and I'll also show you the One Car Stereo L200, another alternative. This is my Yamaha T7. I absolutely love this motorcycle because it is very simple. There are not a lot of electronics on this motorcycle, but that also means that the dash is rather basic. Really not a problem, but I do need a GPS for my work, and I didn't want to mount anything on the handlebar. I wanted to keep that area clean. I wanted to keep it simple down here, And since this is mainly my off-road motorcycle, I also didn't want to look down. So Yamaha already provides a nice accessory bar at the top here. So ever since I got this motorcycle, I dreamed of having a screen up here. So this is the Carpuride W702, and it's basically just a heads-up display. And it's super simple to use. That's the beauty of Apple CarPlay. Just like in cars, it works super easy. You pull up what you need on your phone and it already is up here, and it's all wirelessly done through Bluetooth, so there's not a whole lot you need to do. Of course, it only works with apps that support remote mirroring. Little caveat and a little side note, right now these are $280, and when I first got this display, it did not work for me. After a lot of back and forth, turns out it needed a software update, which couldn't be done simply by plugging into my computer. No, I had to get a very specific size micro SD card and then do the update that way. And that did fix it. And also, since I ride several different motorcycles, I didn't want to hardwire this display. So I'm using the accessory 12-volt outlet here. And with my cheapo low plug here, it did not work. It kept turning off. So I spent another 50 bucks or so and got a really nice quick charging one. And with this beefier one that puts out more volts, it's a whole lot better, and now it works very easy. So as you can see, just like with the one that is probably in your car, you have access to everything that you need. I mainly use the Gaia GPS app. You can go in on your phone and you can change all of the route colors to make it a really bright red, for instance, is what I usually use. And then it makes it very easy to follow either tracks or routes. Another option is the One Car Stereo L200, which is this little guy. As you can see, it's slightly smaller. I guess it would be the size of a large smartphone. I haven't mounted this one yet. This one didn't come with a USB charging option, and I haven't committed yet to hardwiring it to one of my bikes. Most likely I will put this on my Honda Trail 125 because I do use it quite a bit for little off-road rides, and that way I don't have to put my phone on the handlebar and destroy the cameras like I have done in the past. So you can see for a couple $100 you can get one of these heads-up displays and use your phone for navigation. It's just an option and makes traveling on two wheels a whole lot more enjoyable. Now let me get geared up and I'll show you what the screen looks like from the rider's perspective. All right, suited up and ready to go. Let's fire up the Carpuride and see what it looks like. Comes on to the main screen, then it takes a little bit for the Bluetooth to connect, and then without touching my phone or anything, I can go in and with regular gloves I can use the screen. I can already see my routes here. Here I have a little test loop. I can say go, and then I have my nice red route in here. I'm going to zoom in ever so slightly so I can see this a little bit bigger. There you go. So let's give it a go. It's in the 30s today. Well, it is mid-January here in North Carolina. The things I do to show you how the screen works. I'm using the Gaia GPS app, and something to note is that while you can use tracks and routes on your phone, if you connect it to Apple CarPlay, you can only get into the routes. So I made this little short route so I can show you how it works. And I did not hit the go button. That means it doesn't show me turn-by-turn directions, and it doesn't keep my location centered on the map. Instead, all I'm doing is I'm following the colored route just like I would do with a track on the phone. So if I needed to move my position, I would just have to touch the map and drag it a little bit, but not a huge deal.
This is how I used to do it back with the Garmin's as well, because even with Garmin's I used to follow the tracks. But I have to admit it's been a few years since I've used a Garmin GPS. These heads-up displays are just so nice because, I mean, it's the same thing in the car. Now it's on the motorcycle, you don't have to really think much about it. Alright, now it looks like I'm about to ride out of the screen. That means I have to touch the map and drag myself back into the center. I really like that the screen is mounted up high. I don't have to look down to look at my GPS anymore. Even though it's absolutely stinging cold out here, it's quite nice to be on two wheels.